10. Morgan Hickman. Staff members in Boca Regional Hospital in Florida were trying to stop 23-year-old Morgan Hickman from leaving in 2022 when they reportedly found her outside the building at night asking a security guard for a cigarette. Hickman allegedly punched the guard out of nowhere when an employee asked her calmly to go back inside. A struggle ensued as the pair went to the ground, and eventually the guard got control of the situation and brought the woman up to her feet. According to the Boca Post, Hickman kept trying to leave the hospital and became even more violent when the police showed up. She supposedly threw her phone at a security guard, hitting him in the lip. An arrest affidavit said that the disgruntled woman admitted to hitting and punching the guard simply because he wasn't listening to her. Police charged her with 2 counts of felony battery on a licensed security guard and took her to the Palm Beach County Jail. 9. Douglas Rollman and Gina Peccia. In 2016, staff members at the Danbury Fair Mall in Connecticut tried apprehending a New York couple who were shoplifting. A security guard apparently saw 26-year-old Douglas Rollman and 21-year-old Gina Peccia stealing some items from Macy's, so he tried to handcuff Rollman while the police were on their way. The suspect allegedly kicked the security guard and ran away with a handcuff on, and Peccia was accused of then becoming aggressive and trying to strangle the guard. The couple led police on a brief foot chase, but were quickly caught in a parking garage while trying to get into their car. Officers found a new pair of men's jeans on Rollman and charged him and Peccia with assault, robbery, conspiracy to commit robbery, larceny, and breaching the peace. Peccia also faced another charge of strangulation for her attack on the guard. 8. Anthony Glenn Jones. 32-year-old Delonte Maxey was working as a security guard at the Club Onyx strip club in Houston, Texas in September 2022 when he noticed a man and a woman arguing in the parking lot one night. The woman got into a car and rolled up the windows, while the man, later identified as 24-year-old Anthony Glenn Jones, banged on it and yelled at her. Maxey approached Jones and told him to leave, but Jones just brushed the security guard off. After the car the woman got into drove off, the suspect got into an argument with another guard. He then pulled a rifle out of his Jeep and flashed the weapon before getting into the vehicle. Jones drove away in his Jeep Trackhawk, followed by a Chevy Silverado being driven by a member of his friend group. The 2 vehicles returned to the club 3 minutes later as Maxey was walking out into the street when the Jeep stopped to fatally shoot Maxey in the chest. The next day, police pulled Jones over in Dallas after seeing that the Trackhawk he was driving had been stolen. Officers found drugs and ammunition inside the car and arrested him on multiple charges. Investigators soon connected the Trackhawk, a relatively rare vehicle costing nearly $90,000, with the murder at Club Onyx. Authorities in Houston matched Jones' booking photo with the man on the club's surveillance footage and charged him with murder. 7. Attack leads to amputation. Tariq Ali, better known to his community as T, is a beloved security guard in LA's Venice neighborhood, where he works hard to keep people safe while California's homeless crisis spirals out of control. One day in 2021, he approached a drunk homeless man who was loitering near a school, who Ali had asked to leave many times in the past. The man then charged forward as Ali tried to pepper spray him, and he broke a beer bottle over the security guard's head before stabbing him in the wrist, head, and torso. Ali punched his attacker in self-defense, and the homeless man's saliva somehow got inside and infected a wound on his hand, causing the guard's right ring finger to be amputated. Speaking about his experience to Fox 11 Los Angeles, Ali said he realized he was losing an enormous amount of blood from his head wound and worried that he might die. His coworkers followed the attacker until police arrived and arrested him. Luckily, Ali survived through his injuries. When he saw the amount of blood at the scene the next day, he said he didn't know how he managed to live through the experience. Ali told Fox 11 that the horrific incident was a wake-up call to him and community members about the extent of the homeless crisis in Los Angeles County, where there are over 69,000 unhoused individuals living on the streets. Bob Carlson, who owns the business where the assault happened, told the West Side Current that while the company is a global brand, their Venice location was the only store that needed a security guard to keep customers safe. But with his staff members now under attack, he didn't know how much longer the location could stay open. 6. Marijuana Dispensary Melee. While working at the Zen Leaf Marijuana Dispensary in Chicago's Greektown neighborhood one morning in 2022, a security guard got into a heated confrontation with an axe-wielding civilian who hit the guard in the leg. During the fight, the guard fired 4 gunshots. The attacker later died from his injuries, and the security guard was taken to the hospital to treat the lacerations on his leg. Witnesses reported that the attacker was carrying the axe in a backpack. In the meantime, police declined to give details on whether he was a customer or not. Greektown resident Maka Novice told ABC 7 Chicago that locals claim the neighborhood has changed since the dispensary opened up, and that violence seems to be rising. Novice also said that there's been an increase in large crowds and noise. According to the last update, police were hoping to find a motive for the assault. In the meantime, a spokesperson for the security company the injured guard worked for said he was expected to make a recovery. Surveillance footage of the attack showed the guard defending himself against the perpetrator, and no criminal charges were filed against him for acting in self-defense. A source with inside knowledge of the incident described the guard as heroic for stepping into action before anyone else could get hurt. 5. Brandon Aebersold. One day in early 2017, a disheveled bearded man came up to a security guard at the Metropolitan Museum of Art and informed him of a crooked painting. The 46-year-old guard told the guest to report the painting to the museum's information desk and not to touch it himself. As the guard started to walk away, the unhappy museum-goer suddenly smashed a bottle on the back of his head and yelled, "Do your job," with a racial insult. The suspect left the building, but he left a trail of blood after cutting his hand on the broken bottle. Police were unable to catch up with him. The guard was treated at a local hospital for the laceration to his head. Police later arrested 33-year-old Brandon Aebersold a week later and charged him with assault and criminal possession of a weapon. Aebersold was also charged with a hate crime for making a racist remark toward the security guard. He apparently had some issues getting along with his fellow inmates at the Brooklyn Detention Complex, where he was assaulted by another prisoner and ended up needing stitches in his forehead from the fight. Perhaps it was karma. 4. Leighton Holt. 29-year-old Danny Fox was working as a pub's doorman in the English town of St. Helens in 2016 when he got into a heated argument with 22-year-old Leighton Holt, which ended with the young man stabbing Fox to death. Authorities charged Holt with murder, but he argued that he killed the guard in self-defense. He later walked free in 2017 after juries in 2 separate trials were unable to reach a verdict. A judge formally declared him not guilty, and he was acquitted of all charges. Holt wound up in court again, though, in late 2018 for a cocaine-fueled crime spree involving 2 robberies. He jumped over the counter at a liquor store holding a large knife and demanded that the clerk give him cash. He grabbed 42 pounds, or $47.80 USD, from the till before the employee pushed him away and was able to hit the panic button. Another worker told Holt to leave the store, so he calmly grabbed 2 bottles of wine before walking out. Several hours later, he walked into a supermarket without any money, with no intention to pay, and filled a basket full of Moet and steak. A security guard saw Holt putting the items in a bag at self-checkout without actually ringing them up and approached the thief, who then sprayed the guard in the face with bleach and punched him repeatedly before escaping on a mountain bike. Holt only got about a half mile, 0.8 kilometers from the store, before the police caught him. He spat at an officer while being taken into custody. In addition to facing charges for robbery, a search of his mother's home yielded a sawed-off shotgun belonging to Holt, who was eventually convicted of assault, robbery, and weapons charges, then sentenced to 8.5 years in prison. During his sentencing, he made his feelings well known by giving his judge the middle finger. 3. Ben Gordon. Former NBA star Ben Gordon made the news headlines in late 2022 for a handful of crimes, casting him in a less than respectable light. The first incident happened at New York's LaGuardia Airport in October, when witnesses say 39-year-old Gordon punched his son in the head multiple times for dropping a book on the floor. He also allegedly resisted his arrest, leaving 3 police officers injured in the wake. After posting bail, he was taken into custody for an assault charge stemming from another incident 2 years earlier. The next month, Gordon was arrested for attacking 2 security guards at a McDonald's in Chicago. He was accused of striking a 29-year-old guard in the face before shoving a 21-year-old guard to the ground as well. The guards were reportedly trying to kick Gordon out of the restaurant. Police responded to a call about a disturbance at around 3:30 in the morning and took him into custody for 2 counts of misdemeanor battery. 2. Daniel Varndell. Police in Portsmouth, England, were trying to take 28-year-old Daniel Varndell into custody during a domestic disturbance call in 2018, when the suspect resisted. Varndell allegedly became violent and refused to cooperate, leaving at least 1 officer injured. While in custody, he was also accused of spitting at a jail officer. A few months later, security guards at a music store suspected Varndell's friend of shoplifting and tried to detain the pair. Varndell fiercely resisted and got into a struggle with a security guard that took them both to the floor. During the scuffle, he kneed a guard in the eye while trying to stab another guard's face with a screwdriver. Thankfully, the officer managed to pull his head away before it could pierce him. But Varndell kept up stabbing motions with the tool while reaching for the man's face before another employee intervened and disarmed him. The attacks continued once the suspect was taken into custody. He splashed water on a nurse for not giving him the amount of medication he wanted, and damaged a wall on a security panel in a violent rage. Varndell was also charged for throwing a bicycle into a window at a homeless shelter for not letting him in. He left but came back a little later to smash a glass bottle against the window. Before he was arrested in connection to the violent crime spree in 2018, Varndell's record already consisted of 18 convictions for 56 crimes. The judge overseeing the case sentenced him to spend 18 months in jail, and the sentence was extended when he attacked 3 prison guards. 1. Christopher Bingham, a doorman working at a club in Belfast, Ireland, needed 11 stitches in 2017 after an angry customer punched him in the mouth one night. He would later tell a jury that the attack happened after he didn't let one member of a 6-person group into the building and was trying to explain the reasons for his decision. The doorman went to the hospital while police arrested a man in his 20s named Christopher Bingham. At trial, Bingham's lawyer said that his client acted in self-defense and that the door staff were unreasonably aggressive toward his group. It was revealed in court that 3 of Bingham's friends ended up in the emergency room for injuries they sustained during their interactions with the guards from the club. The defendant's attorney also accused the doorman of telling his coworkers to attack the group and to make sure it happened off camera. The doorman adamantly denied these statements, claiming that he went inside the club after his injury and didn't go back outside until leaving for the hospital, at which point he saw another door staff restraining members of Bingham's party while waiting for police to arrive. Bingham was found not guilty after the court determined that he used reasonable force against the doorman. Thanks for watching. If you saw a security guard getting attacked, would you try to help? Or would you just call 911 from a distance? Let us know in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe.